Welcome back, everybody. My name is Griffin Rayom with the Tools of the Trade podcast. And today I have Julie Jamison on the phone with us. And Julie is a parent or the mother of a very dear friend of mine, Greg, who works at Caterpillar. And Greg has followed a very similar path to what I have followed. And I think really during our conversations and, the different interviews that we've had is what better perspective to get than that of a mother of somebody who's gone through all of our programs and has gotten to see firsthand what can be done when you follow this educational and skills career path. So Julie, I really want to thank you for joining us today.
Sure. Thanks, Griffin.
Yeah. So, I've known Greg, I think like 10, 12 years now, or no, even longer than that.
Maybe longer.
Yeah. And it's been phenomenal to see, the path that he's followed and, what's taken place throughout his career. And I guess can you kind of lay the groundwork a little bit? Like, was there anything from Greg's earlier life that indicated he was going to go into the skilled trades and be, such a success that he is today? I mean, how did this all kind of come to light from your experience?
Well, my husband is a mechanic and also a builder. So he's always been very good, of course, with hands-on. So what we originally had thought and that Greg showed interest in was more the engineering side. And so as he got through high school and he always tinkered on his older car, and he and his dad were always out there doing that. And he'd like to pull things apart and know how it worked. And so which made us think, oh, okay, engineering. And truthfully, of course, we did not know about this program at that time. Even though I worked at CAT, I didn't really know about this program. So Greg signs up for the local college and in the engineering field, and he had been a high school co-op at CAT in an area that he was given access to this group, the Think Big program, and some of the people that were in it. And I believe that's probably how you first met.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to college and wasn't even there, I think, maybe a semester, and he found out there would be no hands-on in that engineering program until like the senior year. And I think he started already looking into Think Big, and he'd had conversations with you. So that's where it started, but we knew he needed to have hands-on pretty early in his education, I guess. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I remember. Greg and I had met through Zach Palmquist, and he was actually one of the other guys that we have been able to interview with this session. But Zach had just graduated, and then I was visiting Zach, and he was telling me about this kid that was going to come by and hang out with us for a little bit. And he said, yeah, he's an engineer, but we're trying to see if he's interested in the Think Big program because he's going to Bradley right now and doesn't seem all that interested in, the current program.
Okay.
So
that's exactly.
that was pretty much what happened from there. Yeah, we talked with him, and then within a few weeks, it was I found out that he had switched over, and then then we started talking a lot more after that.
Well, and that's when you came to our house. You and Greg brought you, and you sat and said. Greg said, I don't think I'm going to stay with the engineering curriculum and get my bachelor's in engineering. I'm really looking at this program. And I remember my heart just sunk. I was like, oh my gosh, this can't be happening. And he's not going to go to school. He's, that's going to go off and he's going to end up quitting this. So you made me feel a lot better. My husband and I were both like, oh, we were devastated because we had not gone to college and we really wanted this for Greg. Of course, you know how it is with parents wanting their kids to do this. So we have it. And so and Bradley was a good school. He got in, he had really good grades in high school. And so I felt like, oh, he was on the right path. And when that happened, but you did make us feel better when you explained it to us and explained what, Greg, and you could just see Greg was so excited about it. And he was really passionate about going this direction. And it was going to be hands-on and get experience working all along the way, which changed, his whole outlook. So that made us feel really good. But I remember saying that, okay, but we really want you to pursue the 4-year degree after this. So even though it was Think Big, I knew that there was the Think Bigger program, and he could go to Pitt State. That's where he ended up graduating from. And he said he had that plan in place. So, and he did. He made it work, and he did a great job at it, graduated very high grades. And so we're very proud of him.
That's great. And it's, I can definitely appreciate and understand, some of the concerns that you were talking about earlier I think that's maybe, where we do see a big disconnect on things. And from Caterpillar's side, we can very easily say the schools don't teach the value of trade skills. The parents don't understand the value of trade skills. But then if we just take a step back and then also maybe try to get more perspective from the parents, and what you so eloquently put was, the reason we're trying to push our child into a 4-year degree because we struggled. And we want to ensure that our children are always going to do better than what we have done in our own struggles and succeed more. So, I think a lot of people would assume, all right, the way to do that is to see about getting a 4-year degree and just being done with it.
Go ahead. I don't think people know you hear of the program too, but the one key thing that I remember Greg did was take his dad over to ICC, because that's where he was going to the Think Big, and took him to where the shop and all the technology. And I remember even my husband coming home saying, oh my gosh, this is top of the line. I mean, he is going to get an unbelievable education. And he was almost jealous that he couldn't go back and go through that program, because it was just done so well. And so I do remember that was a big thing too, and that also put me at ease when they went over there, took the full tour, and did that. So
that's
that
good.
was another piece of it that you don't talk about.
That was going to be my question, is, what kind of changed your mind? And I guess for people that are listening and don't necessarily know the program in full detail, that we've talked with Bobby Kellum a bit on the program format, but then with the, what you talked about, and then what, was seen firsthand with you guys living so close to ICC being Illinois Central College. The schools are set up really well with, training assets. So they'll have anything from engines, transmissions to actual pieces of equipment. And then as the students are going through their coursework, they're going to work with the various different parts of that machine or that unit. So if we're working on transmissions, then we'll go to this machine and look solely on the transmission and powertrain. So that gets to evolve. But yeah, in terms of get the hand-on experience, I mean, that's day one within the school or within your schooling versus having to wait like 4 years. So that's huge. So I can't look back on that enough and think of how valuable that it was for me, and then all of the others that have been able to work with it and see the quality of that training and education. So did you face much pushback, I guess, from other peers, or I guess other mothers and parents that were in a similar situation, or had children that were getting ready to go off to college and stuff?
No, I mean, truthfully, I did not. And I think a lot of it was that because we do live so close in the area of ICC, Illinois Central College, that it was just looked at that he decided not to go to Bradley. He is in the program at ICC, and then he was going to transfer, at some point. But, also because I worked at CAT, whenever I told any peers that the program that Greg was going into, it was nothing but accolades and high mark. I mean, everyone was like, oh my gosh, that is a great program. So, and such a need and things like that. So no, there was never any negative connotation to it whatsoever. I never felt like, oh, didn't want to tell him that he came out of Bradley. I had no problem. I just told him that was not for him. It was going to be way down the line, hands-on. Greg, and if they knew Greg, they already knew that because he was one that was always, like I said, tinkering. So no, and I didn't feel like that was any kind of negative that he had switched his degree at all.
Good. Well, and I think in the grand scheme of things too, I think, and maybe it's me just being a little more financially driven, but I would also be saying the standpoint of like, and he saved me 50 grand, so we're good to go.
That's true. That is true. That compared, because we have another one that did not, another son. So that one, yes. Oh, it's a very, very reasonable program, and it's amazing. It was really amazing, the skills that he learned along the way, and you could just see him use those skills as he went through the program too.
Yeah. So we're talking about a little bit about Greg, but it is worth touching base on your other son Grant a bit because he works in our industry. I mean, can you talk about the path that he followed a little bit, and then what he's doing today?
Well, he is. There was no doubt that his mind was engineering. So it's funny that Greg started as engineer, but needed that hands-on. Where Grant was, his mind just worked like an engineer, and from little on up, that was just how he was. And so we even went to Columbia, Mizzou, and took the big tour, and with some of his friends here from East Peoria. And they're like, when we left there, oh boy, we were more or less wined and dined and everything. And we left there, and he's like, why would I go there? And I said, what? He goes, they're not engineering school. I'm going to be an engineer. He goes, what else would make sense for me? And I'm like, that's true. So he is a geological engineer. He graduated from Rolla, Missouri, Missouri Science and Technology, and did very well. And he's working for a large construction company out of Montana. So he's already lived in Houston, and now he's living in San Diego and working on projects. And uses CAD equipment. He hops in CAD equipment and drives it all over. And they're one of our Caterpillar's big customers. So it's kind of ironic that happened.
It's fun to see that come full circle.
Yeah, and he's a little bit of a tinkering, but he's more watch the YouTube. I can do that, but he's not Greg where he tears it apart and figures it out. So there's a difference there. But it is funny that they are in the same group, really.
Yeah.
And you never know, their paths may cross. We don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in our industry, that's the world seems to get smaller and smaller every day. And then you talked a little bit about how Grant's been able to hop around, and I know in some detail, but can you, I guess, recount all the different places that Greg's been able to live with various job opportunities? Yes.
And truthfully, he's had other job opportunities that he didn't even take. But he started out, and as soon as he graduated from the program, the Pitt State, which was great, Pitt State, Kansas. As soon as he graduated there with his bachelor's degree, he went through the marketing program at Caterpillar. And so he had a minor in business, which enabled him. So he had the technology side with heavy diesel equipment, and then he also had the marketing side, and then that enabled him to get into the marketing degree or the business degree. So that was good. And then when he got out of the marketing program, he was immediately positioned in Louisville, Kentucky area, and where he met his wife. And then as soon as they got married, they moved to Denver, and so they've already had 3 houses, and they've only been married 4 years. So they lived in Denver for 18 months, and now they're living in Cleveland, Ohio. So, and he travels all the northeast of Canada and up into the mines in Canada, and that's what he's doing. So a little bit hard to do right now with the outbreak, but that will return.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's been very lucky to see all of it. He's just thoroughly enjoyed all of the positions he's had.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been fun to kind of go and see him in each of those different areas. And I think that's it's such a big thing too, with thinking about, trying to make sure that we are ensuring our success. And I think that's maybe a big thing that I would give advice to any potential student or even a parent of, if they're afraid of, their son or daughter, or they're afraid for themselves as an individual that's going to this, if they think that there's not going to be a, financial longevity, or that they're constantly going to have to worry about, getting laid off. I don't think that's as big a case as a lot of people would think. And I think you would actually see that's more common in the management environment than it used to be as well. So I think that risk is, it's going to exist anywhere. But the other piece of it too,
it's going to exist anywhere. That's right.
Yeah. And the other piece of it too, though, is I think as long as you're willing to move and pursue opportunities, you're going to be able to find success for yourself. And,
that's a big key. And just the networking. I mean, the amount of, the people as you move into these different roles, I mean, really good friendships and the networking. And, but it's not the networking for future jobs, although of course that's important, but I just think it's that camaraderie that is built with, when you move away from your base and your home and you rely on other people and you grow those friendships, it is just amazing. And I just have seen him grow more and more because of that. He has great friends all over.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit, and that's something that I even face too, because I know with some of our recruits, that's one of the things that we run into is, I'm afraid, and I was afraid, when I was 18 as well, about moving from home. Of, I know this community, I have all these friends that I grew up around, but when you take that leap, I think the payoff is so huge, and like you had just talked about, the camaraderie of, there's people from my class that I'm still in touch with today. And, all the different spots that I've been able to live at as well with work have brought about that sense. And I think seeing that pay off from a parent's perspective has got to be pretty huge as well, because I think it's one to see, okay, my child can get a job and they can get educated. Okay, good. We've satisfied two basic needs. My child can also perform as a functioning member of society, and also is congenial enough to be able to make friends with other people, and is creating their own person. And I think from a parent's perspective, that's got to be huge to see that final piece pay off of, like, okay, we have molded and sculpted, or helped sculpt, a full functioning human being, an adult, right?
And yes, that's exactly true. And I always use, I think one of the best words is, because of he's very resourceful, and he just is a great kid, and not because I just have watched him, and I'm like, I've never left this area, and I see both of my kids moving out of this area and growing so much that we're just very, very proud of him. But all of his friends, that's the key too, which I hope most parents would feel this way. All of his friends are just great kids, and energetic, and just, I don't know. I can't say enough about everyone that he's met, and how his moves and everything, how he's been touched by a lot of great people.
For sure. Yeah, it all started kind of with that first step of, wanting to go into the program of the skilled trades. And I think that's, I've harped on it within a couple conversations, and you just hit on it too, of how he's so resourceful, and then also what he's able to do when it comes to when he faces a problem, not just at work, but also at home. I've seen where he's like, he'll tear right into it and then figure it out from there.
Absolutely.
I'm, without bragging, but I'm in a similar situation. It's because of having to be self-reliant and being in those situations where you're kind of on your own, whether it was when I was a technician, or, when I was first out on my own, doing stuff, kind of living in a city, in an environment that was completely unsupported. You have to kind of create that self-reliance. But then the training that I got through the Think Big program, and same as what Greg went through, the critical thinking and all of the other kind of life skills that you pick up from that, it's so huge. And I think you may get an equivalent of that to when you would go to college, like for a 4-year degree, but I don't know if it would be as quick of an uptake is what we got to experience when we were going through the Think Big program. And
well, I think it makes you not be worried about, tearing into something or tackling, because you did do that during all of your schooling, whether it was tearing an engine down or whatever it was. But I think you feel more confident that I can do this, where maybe, four-year engineering degree, you might get a little bit of that at the end where you feel, that you have the hands-on. And, but I think you look at problems and you look at things differently than you would when you had all of this hands-on experience.
For sure. And
and that includes renovating your house versus, doing anything. So.
Yeah. And I've definitely seen that too applied where, just within like a management approach on, certain problems with work, the way that I face a problem and the way that Greg or even Zach would face a problem, I know we're going to face that in a very similar manner, but our approach is going to be very different from our peers around us because we've got that perspective of, actually being in a shop and going through it and then understanding not just, okay, here's the downstream effects for, certain metrics, whether it's profitability, efficiencies, et cetera. But then what's the impact for management? Okay, what's the impact for the individual actual doing this work? And when we can look at that holistically, I think it kind of leads us to making better decisions. And again, we wouldn't be able to had we not had that perspective firsthand.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, Griffin.
So I know you've got, you're retired and you're getting ready to enjoy all the other fun things that go with retirement. And I want to be respectful that you've got a few other things after our phone call. But
thanks.
I guess what would be the advice to a parent that is was sitting in your chair, not so many, but I guess some years ago. And then maybe for an educator as well.
Well, I think, first of all, the parents to be open and to, know your kids. I've kind of used this term a lot with my kids growing up, that I think my husband and I, we talked with our kids instead of talking at our kids. And so we let them have a lot of the leeway, and so we would know them, and so know your kids and where their strengths are as they're growing up, or and just kind of watch and see, and don't expect them to be you might have that view for them, or you may have that dream for them, but you also have to listen to them if that's not right. So I think that's one of the things, and to really know about the different programs that are out there and listen if they have something and they're bringing something to you, or if you can, if you think, boy, he really does well if he's doing this, then Google it and see what kind of things are around and are more specific to that kid's talents, I think. Because I think we just shove kids into the wrong curriculums a lot of the time.
And I guess if
also
I would,
with the educators.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess if I would kind of try and get somebody to switch the way that they would view things a little bit, but if you were going to give advice to maybe a student on how, not necessarily how to change your parents' mind, but I guess as a parent, what would be the certain things that you would expect your son or daughter to present to you when they're talking about an educational choice, so that you would take them more seriously versus maybe just dismissing it as like, youthful, whims or youthful dreams. Yeah. Like what would you want to see as a parent for them to really say, for you to finally say, okay, this kid's done their homework and this is something that they really want to pursue?
Well, I think it definitely has to do with what you and I talked about, as far as Greg had talked to Zach. He had done his homework, so he had already kind of been thinking this way in his mind. But for him to bring it home to us, he brought you with him, and that you could talk. That was one of but the reason was you could talk about the program, and you could make us feel better about his changing. And then he also, and you might not be able to do this, but he did take his dad over there and run through the whole place, and and make Kurt feel better about, okay, the decision that he's making. So the facts and the data, so maybe the kids need to get a little bit of, need to get that information and on their own. And I don't think that's too hard usually, so they can do that. And because there's some reason why they've thought this way. So if they take that next step and get the information, maybe get is there a DVD of the, of a tour of the place, and that really explains the program, that would, bring it home, watch it with their parents, and talk about it. I think that would be really good.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that the educators have to know about these programs and opportunities.
Yeah, and I think from our side, we're doing the best that we can to build awareness, but it seems to be something that we need to keep pushing for, not just Caterpillar, but also our recruiters, and then also just get the general public to understand that how much value there is in the skilled trades and how essential that is. And I think, a lot of the things that we've gone through the last couple months have maybe brought to light how reliant we are on the people that actually do the work to keep our day-to-day life manageable and very livable. So people should really see that there's, a lot of opportunity with going into those trades. And, it's not maybe that's something we could touch on before we close out though. But I think a lot of people, they would think that if their son or daughter wants to go into skilled trades, it's a death sentence for their career. And
oh gosh, no, no, not at all. And I think even, I think the money that they can make is phenomenal, even, as a technician or as in the skilled trades. And also maybe we need to get them out in front of the public more, like, tell people this is who's working on your whatever, and promote those technicians that are behind the scenes and things like that. And that's the accolades that that's what we could do. But we all need the technicians. We all need the skilled trades in every walk of life. So I can't imagine, my husband is that too. So I can't imagine, and I can't tell you how much money he saves us, by the way, because he can do everything himself. So those are very important skills, and it, in the long run, saves the family and, a lot of money too. So you can look at it both ways. They're making good money, but it also saves money on the side.
Well, I think on that point, we'll close it out then. So I really want to thank you for your time.
All right. Well, thanks, Griffin, for asking me.
So that's going to bring today's session to a close. I do want to thank everybody for taking time to listen to this as well. If you want to be a part of this conversation or know somebody that should be a part of this conversation, please reach out to me. You can email me at REOME_GRIFFIN_E@cat.com. Thanks again for your time, and looking forward to talking to you more.